So Heatwave, there were only three matches that I was really interested in. Everything else, anyhow, I'm not gonna even. The main event, which was the four-way dance, Lola Vice versus Roxanne Perez, and Kalani Jordan versus Sol Ruka. I'm going to take on that match first. To me, it kind of had hints of early Bailey and Sasha Banks. Not on that high end level. Both women are gymnasts, so they added a lot of their gymnastics skill sets into this match. There were a lot of nice high spots that they did. Um, the crowd was really into it more than what I expected, and it just gave me that vibe. Now, who is Sasha and who's Bailey? For right now, I can probably say just because she's very well liked, Kalani might be more the Bailey type, but I can't even say, don't even hold me to that. That's just if we were just having BS conversation, or would I have to stick with that? That's just for now. When I was discussing KJ in the episode comparing her to RKO, I was mentioning that I wasn't sure certain talents you see and you're not sure where they're going to fit in when they move up to the main roster. Well, after watching this match, Kalani was one that I had mentioned. So I wasn't really all that into her, just the surfer thing, whatever. But after watching this match, Kalani has way more of my attention now. And watching her go up to the main roster, I feel like she'd probably be a better fit on SmackDown than Raw for now. Uh, if they also I don't think they're going to probably move them up at the same time. I don't know. So I could go either way. I mean, they'd probably put on Raw. Because if you have both, unless you make them into a tag team, which is what they did for Chance and Carter, or formerly Catanzaro, um, because of their acrobatic skills, they can bring that to the table, and as entertainers, that would really entertain a lot of people and could quite possibly bring the house down. Even if you introduce them as a tag team, and then they'll go on to be solo talents, that would be understood. But that match was, to me, it was like the upset special. It was the one I was interested in, but I wasn't, sure that I was going to enjoy it as much. And that's one, if you haven't seen Heatwave, go back and go take a look at. Roxanne versus Lola Vice, that to me could have gone either way. I was like, maybe they're going to give it. I knew, play this. If Lola, spoiler, 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 spoiler. So, whatever. If Lola wins the match, Roxanne is more than likely going to move up. If Lola doesn't, then Roxanne's going to stay because they figure they probably need a face. And maybe Lola's not ready yet, although she does have the crowd behind her. And she's been picking up steam. The match was cool. It made me actually realize, or actually, I have to do a deeper dive and investigate because the way that Roxanne won, she won clean. And I'm like, damn, I think that she won all of her matches clean, even though she's a heel now. But then I'm trying to recall she had a match with Natalia, and I think she might have grabbed the rope. I don't know. I have to check. But she beat an MMA fighter with pro wrestling skill sets. She beat her clean. So that's what piqued my interest in looking into that. But the opening entrances, this is the first time, in my opinion, the gear that Roxanne had on, she looked like a fucking superstar, and she's never looked like that. Wrestling wise, she's got in spades. She's the prodigy. 14 years old. Started to what? She's like 22 now, I think, or something like that. But her gear has been like okay. It's been like to me the same gear that she, you know, uh, wears on NXT. But this white gear that she had on, and now she's playing the heel and she's in white. That should look like wow, she looks like a superstar there. If she keeps getting her gear like that, even just if it's just for PLEs, gold star for Marcus. Um, so that's pretty much all I have to say about that match. You can just go check it out. There were some things. Her finisher, what she did with her finisher to close out the match, that worked really well. Sometimes in certain matches, I've complained about. It just feels like this newer generation when they're wrestling. Sometimes they don't prime their opponents to make certain moves work. It's just like if I smack you in the face and now all of a sudden I put you in the pedigree. I didn't kick you in the stomach. I didn't punch you a few times. I just smacked you in the face. And oh, pedigree. That's what it feels like for certain matches. This match was not a victim of that. I like how she, they finish her finishing move at the end to close out the match. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. And Roxanne has put on some really good matches, and Lola has slowly been evolving. She's getting better and better. Once she's going to be one of those. She could be because tomorrow she could get fired. She could be one of those special talents that once she puts the pieces together, it's to the moon, to the races. She's to me is funny with her like a little dancing shake. That shit is funny to me because it's kind of like her dissing you. It went from her just shaking in the ring, and then when she shits on somebody, she starts doing it. It's how she does it. I always get a laugh out of it. But anyhow, go check that out as I now transition into the main event, the four-way dance. Ethan Page, Sean Spears, uh, Bouncy. I don't remember his name. I just knew a stupid ass fucking gimmick. Everybody want to get bouncy? And Trick Williams for the NXT title. Spoiler alert. Now, I bring this up, spoiler alert, because this is what I'm talking about when I say I don't like to know what's going to happen. The finish of that match took me by surprise with Ethan coming out on top. I was for sure Trick was going to come out on top, and he didn't. And how they lined it up worked. Whereas, like I said with the McIntyre gimmick, once he pulled that briefcase down and he was declared the winner, I automatically knew what was going to happen. I thought the match was pretty good. Uh, the finish, how that was set up with Trick and everything, I like that. Bouncy did some things that, I mean, he's a high flyer. He's a really good high flyer, but I feel he needs to build his body up. I also feel like Dominic needs to build his body up. He should really like sit with somebody and build his body up because he's way too scrawny. I would love to see him in like, and I'm not talking about juice or no shit like that, but to each his own. It is what it is. Let's say if he could get to the size of like a carrying cross, I wouldn't mind him seeing going up against uh um what's the dude's name? Frick. Gunther's guy. Damn, it's like I had his name and it just flew out my brain. Um, yeah, if I could see him having, a really good match in a few years, if he could build his body up, to have a match with that dude could be nice. But yeah, the bouncy kid, he has some moves. Like I said, he's a high flyer, high flyer, high flyer. Ooh, ooh. He's a high flyer. You know, he made it the four-way dance exciting. Sean Spears, I gotta give him more credit. He did some cool shit in here, especially with the chair. Um, Ethan Page, side note, when I spoke on him joining NXT, I realized watching NXT, it dawned on me. I said, oh shit, I forgot to mention this. Ethan Page reminds me a lot of Don Morocco. For those that know, go back and check out, not pound for pound. It's just so, and it's just like when I said Kiana James reminds me, she gives me a feel that she's going to be Randy Orton. It's something I can't go, oh, look, this move and that. It's just something that's like, why do I got to feel that she's going to be like fucking Randy Orton, dude? That she's just going to just surprise the shit out of everybody. Ethan Page is always good on the mic, has always been good on the mic, is a great talker. I said he was underutilized at the other company, just like Pillman Jr. was. But now you're starting to see what I saw, what I knew he could do. For those that have been tracking his career, I mean, for those that are new, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he reminds me of Don Morocco, especially in the body type. Don Morocco was massive, but he wasn't like, cut and striations, all cut and torn up. For those that don't know, as a reminder, Don Morocco was a serious nemesis for Rocky Johnson. Everyone knows whose father that is. We don't need to go there. So, Don Morocco, to me, if you're he's his name for me, my opinion, his name always gets left off when they talk about promo guys, top 10 promo guys. I'm sliding Don Morocco in, right, with the Ric Flairs of the world. I think Don Morocco, in my opinion, cut better promos than Dusty Rhodes. To me, when people talk about Dusty Rhodes, they talk about the Son of a Plumber promo, and that's the only one that gets talked about. When you dig into the Ric Flair stuff, you see Diamonds Are Forever, I'll Take Your Girl Home with Me, Space Mountain, all this other stuff, yada, yada, yada. But for the Dusty promo, it's always Kings and Queens, and then the Son of a Plumber, and then you don't hear about any other promos. Don Morocco has some hot ones. I could go into it. Go into the archives if they have the promos. Look up the shit with Snooker if they have the promos. The shit with Rocky Johnson if they have the promos. He was a really good promo guy, and I didn't realize until watching stuff on YouTube that he had gone on to um, I believe it was FCW. He wrestled in Florida for a while after he left WWE, because at that time you didn't get all the different um, regions on TV unless you had cable, 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 cable. So satellite cable and things of that nature. So yeah, I just wanted to get that hit to Ethan Page. And once again, check out Heatwave, at least those three matches. Everything else, it's just certain gimmicks I just don't buy into. Even though I do like Chase U, um, I forgot who they were wrestling, and who they were wrestling really made a difference for me. So yeah, it is what it is. Heat Wave, check it out. We move on to Raw. Okay, for Raw, they did the same thing that you heard me complain about with Drew McIntyre. I knew that once Damian Priest was on the phone and he was like, "Where you at?" I said, that's got to be Rhea. But then they do too many. It's like sometimes they give it away too much when I feel like they don't have to. I think maybe they're scared that the viewership is going to drop or something. But when he called the guys in, when they caught Liv stretching Dom, and Finn is like, yeah, so what's the big surprise? And he goes, oh, we're just going to wait. Dom is going to really, it's like, come on, bro, you just gave it away. Like, damn, I just like the element of surprise. I just, yeah, it is what it is. I don't understand why Liv ran. It could have happened another way, but I guess they wanted the dramatic ending that they got with those two in the ring. I think personally it would have just been more of a surprise if she got in the ring, he was looking downtrodden, and she just picked his face up and then just kissed him, basically just claiming him, so, someone had mentioned, oh, I think it was the CVV interviewed Rey Mysterio. I think it was that. But, they're probably going to have like a Dom on a pole, Dom in a cage match, the battle for Dominic or some crap like that. I could see them doing that. Anyhow, it's kind of with the Wyatt Six, it's kind of going in the direction that I did not want it to go, which is now we're going to get 49,000 tapes of dudes sitting in the therapist chair or interviewing himself back and forth. Shouldn't have been that way. After the first interview, after that, you go into each character, which I guess they might be leading in because he shouted them out on this one. But that should just been the open from right after his first interview. Bam, second week, is every character leave Nikki for last. If they did Nikki correctly, the way that I have it in my mind, me playing Booker with the pen again, here he goes, Mr. DTD. Anyhow, because you don't know enough about Joe Gacy, you don't know how they're gonna if he's gonna implement his NXT stuff, yada yada yada. Then again, I don't even know. It still hasn't been completely confirmed that this is Joe Gacy or not. Joe Gacy or not. So when I see it, is with his Loomis, his character very rarely talked, so you don't really know, you know, what his story is, if he's gonna talk, what his backstory is really gonna be about, right? Eric Rowan, if he is involved, he has more of a backstory that could be interesting, especially if you throw in Brody, and then how he was kind of just discarded or whatever within the company. But lastly, Nikki's whole thing, as I mentioned before, if you do Nikki last and she's sitting in that chair and she starts talking about how she tried to be friends with Candace, Candace ignored her. I think she tried to be friends with somebody else. It escapes me, and they buzz killed her. She tried the superhero gimmick. Nobody acted like they wanted to be saved. She was friends with Alexa Bliss. She felt like Alexa Bliss betrayed her or just turned away and went with what's her face. And you could even play on that where, you know, she left me alone, this, and this. And then I heard her calling me because they're going to probably throw Alexa Bliss in this fucking story, even though I'm completely against it. And then I heard her calling me and yada, yada, yada. And if I was, what I would do, man, instead of just having everybody sitting in that fucking room, is shoot actual short stories. So maybe you can see Nikki walking down the hallway and she's hearing something and she's just like, hello, hello. And she's walking down there and then it just gets dark and then she just dissolves into blackness and then, they throw in some sort of special effect. And then, that could symbolize like her being taken off of television or some shit like that. Or you could even have, Adam Pierce, saying something like, or even Nick Aldis, because I can't recall which show she was on. I think, oh, she was on Raw. She was on Raw. You can have Adam Pierce, film something with her, just basically telling her, look, creative has nothing for you, which is a term that everybody's familiar with. And upon hearing that, or you could just actually just hear Adam, you don't maybe even have to see him with her, but it would play better if they did. And that's something they could just shoot lickety split real quick, you know, and just go in the edit bay and just cut that up. And every time as you've seen her walk down this hallway, each each thing that she's hearing is a cut back, cut back, cut back, and then she just dissolves into blackness, and then she's back in the chair, and then I ended up here, and this is my family now, and yada yada yada, because she has the deepest story next to Bo Dallas's character. because we actually Bo Dallas was just completely gone. We haven't. I've never really seen him. I wasn't around when he was wrestling. I wasn't watching, But I know that they were trying to bring him into the fold with the Uncle Howdy character, and then, you know, um, Big Bro passed, and it also felt like it had to be retooled because it didn't seem like it was working as far as I was concerned. But he, if anybody, has the biggest story because we haven't seen him. Nikki, we saw all the gimmicks. Eric was gone. Loomis would pop up, and he still wasn't saying anything. He would pop up, save Indy, pop up at NXT, save Indy, then give the thumbs up, do such and then disappear. Gacy was on NXT. So Nikki has the most, of the character background that we've actually seen. We've seen her get pissed on and discarded. So to save her for last and to really top it off, to make her the beast in the ring, like a Nikki that you haven't seen before. Any wrestling moves that she has in her arsenal that she's never really actually displayed comes out now. Like she's the beast, the beast, the beast. Out of all of them, she's the worst in the ring. That's what I would do. But like I said, it seems like they slow rolling it out. We get 59 million tapes, and like, bro, you're gonna beat a dead horse. I know I heard Bully saying, "Hey, it'd be a good idea if I never saw them in a match until WrestleMania." I don't think that's a good idea. But if you're going to do that, if that was the goal, then your backstories have to be really good backstories. Just telling stories through visuals without them being in the ring. You can't keep showing me Bo in the goddamn room doing video after video after video after video. How about if this here's just a fucking simple idea. How about if this week, instead of it being a video, it's a fucking DVD? That also gives Pat McAfee something to goof on. Hey, at least they upgraded this time. It's not, VHS anymore. Something. And then for each character, it's a different format. So now it's DVD and it's Dexter Loomis. The next one is, you know, a hard drive or a thumb drive. Actually, it's a great idea. Thumb drive and it's Gacy. The last one is a streaming site and it's Nikki. And that one makes everything interactive. So now people can start seeing shit like that. So it is what it is. I just hope they just don't go in a hole. Like I told you before, they can't fuck this up, bro. But it is what it is. I'll leave it at that. As far as Raw is concerned, uh, furthermore, uh, Punk. Was I thinking about Punk? Yeah, I had a concern about him because this is like his third or fourth fucking injury, bro. And I'm wondering if this run is going to be a good run because he got injured twice in AEW, right? And now he got injured this time. And this is his arm. I know one was his foot or his ankle. I can't remember what the other one was, but he got injured twice. I don't know, maybe re-aggravated at the other company. I can't, because remember, I wasn't really watching like that. I do remember when he messed up his foot. I think it was against MJF. I think. But he does have the nickname of Fragile Phil. It's fucked up, but Sonya Deville finally gets another shot at the at at a another hopefully hot storyline because every time it seems like she's on the run, something happens. The story with Mandy, serial killer after her. Real talk. Then they put her behind the scenes. She's really good. At one point she was what I can't they she should have had a better run with Naomi. Naomi's character. That wasn't really as satisfying for me, because they didn't. It's like Chelsea really took the kind of the Karen character and really ran with it. Then they put her with Chelsea. She gets injured. Now she's forming this faction with um, Zoe, and the Queen of Spades. So we'll see how this goes. And I could have sworn I thought she had an ACL injury. So they must have done something medically that speeds up these ACL injuries, or unless I'm just mistaken, but I thought she had a torn ACL, and I thought that those take like a year. But even still, she's here. She's gonna get busy. Her mic skills were always one that was needed. So we'll see with that. And they need to give Braun Strowman somebody to fuck with. Either you put him in the ring with Breaker, or just stop him chasing shit. Because every time I see him running around chasing Carlito or chasing somebody, I can't help but I can't help to think about what happened to Athena. Y'all know her as Ember Moon. They were doing that 24/7 shit, for those that don't know, and she was chasing Truth, was on the bandwagon, chasing her, because remember they had everyone chasing him. She was running behind Truth, right behind him, I believe, and Truth stopped. And somehow when she stopped in front of him, that's how she got that injury. I think she had a torn ACL too, or a fucked up ankle or something like that. In fact, she's actually injured now in ROH. But if that wasn't happening, because even she was saying, like, she was somewhat saying, if I wasn't in this stupid storyline, this would not have happened. Like, I'd rather it happen me being in a high end match than me chasing our truth for like a meaningless title, for, some comedy shit that, someone of her caliber shouldn't have been. I mean, like, you could have, anyway, yeah. So, Strowman, that worries me. Just get this guy some competition so he can really, get your real fucking money's worth out this dude and stop having him chase what's his round. In fact, now that I just thought about it, because I was thinking about this before, it's unfortunate that they got rid of Dijak, because that could have been something, And before because I just thought about that now, I was thinking about, hey, because I just thought that it was a bad call, but they could have brought Dijak in to help the New Day, unless they're really going to go with Woods turning on Kofi. Dijak would have been good to come in and help them out, and that would have set up a nice feud with him and Karrion Kross, who really fucking needs it. So it is what it is. You know, Raw has its highs, Raw has its lows. It always surprises me that SmackDown is always just seems to be the better show. When the early days, it was always like the Raw was like the show to beat, and the past what 6, 7 years, I guess, since I've come back into the fold, SmackDown has always been the better show. So it is what it is. What do you think? What don't you think? Whatever you want to do, I'm out. Enjoy SmackDown, which is this Friday, tomorrow. I'm out. Later.